Arthur was having a particularly average Tuesday. Rain, as usual, plagued the streets of Neo-London. Hovercars grumbled through congested air traffic. Arthur, nose buried in a soggy newspaper, nearly tripped over her. She was most definitely not from around here. Luminous blue skin, shimmering antennae twitching in distress. She was huddled in a doorway, attempting to blend with the shadows. Poorly, Arthur might add, as her shimmering aura tended to give her away. "Well, this is new," Arthur muttered. Peering down at her, she looked up, eyes wide and luminous, like a startled owl. She spoke in a series of chirps and whistles, clearly distressed. Arthur, ever the helpful soul, patted his pockets, eventually producing a handkerchief. He offered it with a hesitant smile. "Here you go, love. Can't have you catching a chill now, can we?" She looked at the handkerchief, then back at him, her alien eyes surprisingly expressive. He got the distinct impression she understood his intent, even if the words were lost in translation. She took the handkerchief, her touch surprisingly warm. "Right then," Arthur said, feeling a bit awkward. "Don't suppose you speak English, do you? Or, any Earth dialect?" She shook her head, antennas drooping. Definitely lost. Just then, a group of shady-looking characters rounded the corner. Cybernetic enhancements gleamed under the streetlights, and they moved with a predatory air. They spotted the alien girl and grinned, their intentions clear. Arthur, despite his usual aversion to trouble, felt a surge of protectiveness. He knew Neo-London's underbelly could be brutal, especially to anyone different. "Right, you lot," he said, stepping forward. "Move along. Nothing to see here." The thugs laughed, a harsh, grating sound. One cracked his knuckles, cybernetic implants whirring. "Out of your depth, Grandad," he sneered. Arthur, feeling a twinge in his back, age, don't you know, mentally prepared for a good old-fashioned brawl. Suddenly the air shimmered. The alien girl, eyes blazing, spoke in a series of high-pitched clicks and whistles. A beam of light shot out from a device on her wrist, engulfing Arthur in a blinding flash. He blinked, momentarily blinded. When he could see again, he was no longer in a damp alleyway. He was in a brightly lit circular room, metallic walls humming with an unknown energy. And the alien girl. She was standing before him, looking rather pleased with herself. "Well," Arthur said, dusting himself off, "that was unexpected." He had to admit, for a kidnapping, it had been rather efficient. He wondered if they offered frequent abductee miles. The alien girl, whose name Arthur learned was Zilla, tried explaining the situation through a series of gestures and holographic projections. It involved a crashed spaceship, a tyrannical galactic overlord, and a desperate need for Arthur's handkerchief. It turned out the handkerchief was made of a rare earth material, crucial for repairing Zilla's ship. Arthur, still struggling to comprehend the fact he was currently hurtling through space, found the whole thing utterly ridiculous. "So, let me get this straight," he said, pointing to himself. "You an alien being. Crash-landed on Earth, got mugged in an alley, and I, a retired librarian, am the only one who can help you save the galaxy, all because of a handkerchief?" Zila nodded earnestly, her antennae bobbing with enthusiasm. She looked so sincere, so utterly out of her depth that Arthur couldn't help but chuckle. "Well," he sighed, "it's certainly not how I expected to spend my retirement, but then again, life rarely goes to plan, does it?" Section 5. Adventures in Alien Babysitting. Arthur quickly learned that travelling through space with a well-meaning but utterly clueless alien was an experience unlike any other. For starters, Zila had a tendency to misinterpret Earth customs. "No, Zila," Arthur said patiently. "You can't just offer the space customs officer a jar of pickled onions as a gesture of goodwill." Then there was the time Zila, attempting to make Arthur feel at home, filled his quarters with what she believed to be Earth delicacies. "I do appreciate the effort," Arthur said, trying not to gag. "But I can assure you we don't actually eat glowing fungus and sentient slime mold back on Earth." Despite the constant chaos, Arthur found himself oddly charmed by Zilla's naivety and her genuine desire to learn about his world. He taught her about Earth customs, history, and the joy of a good cup of tea. "There you go," he said, handing her a steaming mug. "That's what we call a proper cuppa." Section 6. Galactic Gastronomy and Other Disasters. Zila, in turn, tried to introduce Arthur to the wonders of her culture. This usually involved narrowly escaping from intergalactic space pirates, accidentally triggering alien security systems, and once participating in a bizarre alien game show involving telepathic slugs. "I must say," Arthur said after they narrowly avoided being vaporized by a disgruntled space kraken, "life with you is never dull, is it?" Zila, covered in space kraken slime, just grinned sheepishly. They developed a routine of sorts. Arthur, with his dry wit and calming presence, became Zila's guide to the universe, while Zila, with her infectious optimism and childlike wonder, reminded Arthur that, even amidst the chaos, there was still beauty and excitement to be found. One evening, as they were navigating through a particularly stunning nebula, a kaleidoscope of colours swirling around them, Arthur found himself looking at Zila, truly seeing her for the first time. Her blue skin seemed to shimmer with an inner light, her eyes sparkling with intelligence and warmth. Section 7. Love Among the Stars and a Few Exploding Asteroids. He realized, with a start, that somewhere between dodging asteroid fields and surviving on questionable alien snacks, his feelings for Zila had shifted. He no longer saw her as just a stranded alien, but as a brave, kind, and utterly captivating woman. Zila, sensing his gaze, turned to him, her brow furrowed in concern. "Arthur, is everything all right? You seem different." He chuckled, a warmth spreading through his chest he hadn't felt in years. "It's nothing, love," he said, his voice softer than he intended, "just admiring the view." He gestured to the nebula, but he knew, and he suspected Zila did too, that he wasn't just talking about the cosmic spectacle unfolding before them. Their adventures continued, each one bringing them closer. They faced down space pirates, navigated treacherous wormholes, and even managed to win a surprisingly large amount of space credits on that telepathic slug game show. Arthur suspected Zila may have cheated, but he wasn't complaining. Section 8, the language of laughter, translates universally. Through it all they laughed. They laughed at the absurdity of their situation, at their cultural misunderstandings, at Arthur's terrible attempts to speak Zila's language. His rendition of their national anthem sounded suspiciously like a malfunctioning tea kettle. "You know," Zila said one day after Arthur accidentally activated the spaceship's emergency siren while looking for the tea bags, "for someone who claims to dislike surprises, you certainly seem to attract them." Arthur, nursing a singed eyebrow, just grinned. "What can I say, love? I've always been a bit of a magnet for the unexpected." He looked at her, his heart full. "But I wouldn't trade a single moment of it." Zila's antennas twitched, and for a moment their eyes met, a silent understanding passing between them. In that instant, surrounded by the vastness of space, their differences, their origins, all faded away. All that remained was the undeniable connection they had forged, a connection that transcended words, cultures, even galaxies. Section 9. Homeward Bound and Heartstrings Pulled. With the help of Arthur's handkerchief and a bit of ingenuity, they managed to repair Zila's ship. As they prepared for their journey back to Zila's planet, a bittersweet feeling settled over Arthur. He was happy for Zila, of course, but the thought of saying goodbye filled him with a profound sense of loss. Zila, ever perceptive, sensed his mood. "Arthur," she said softly, her hand resting on his arm, her touch sending a jolt through him. "What's wrong?" He looked at her, his heart heavy. "It's just, I know you have to go, to save your people, and I'm happy for you, truly I am, but—" He trailed off, unable to articulate the emotions swirling within him. He didn't need to. Zila understood. She understood the unspoken words, the fear of losing something precious, something that had blossomed amidst the chaos of their adventure. She stepped closer, her eyes searching his. Section 10. A Love Story Written in Stardust. "Arthur," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "who said anything about saying goodbye?" And in that moment, as she leaned in, her lips brushing against his, Arthur knew. He knew that this wasn't the end, but rather the beginning of a love story written in stardust, a testament to the fact that sometimes the most extraordinary adventures lead us to the most unexpected destinations, and the most unlikely encounters can lead to the most profound connections. As they embarked on their journey, not just to Zila's planet, but to a future unknown, they held on to each other, two souls bound by a love that knew no bounds, a love that had blossomed amidst the stars.